What's up, guys? Got a little intro song for you today while we wait for people to jump on. Little indie-re. Just listen to the lyrics on this one real quick. Hey guys, say what's up. I'm going to start in a second, but check this song. Can you hear it?
I sing these words because I was that girl too.
Wait for it.
Wanting something better than this. But who do I turn to? Now we're moving from the darkness into the light.
Moving from darkness into light.
This is the defining moment of our lives.
Defining moment of our lives. Wait for it.
'Cause you're beautiful like a flower.
Say what's up,
More
guys.
valuable than a diamond. You are powerful.
I'll get
like
started in a
fire.
second.
You will heal the world with your mind.
I love this song.
There is nothing in the world that you cannot do.
There's nothing in the world that you cannot do.
When you believe in you.
When you
Who are
believe
beautiful,
in you.
yeah, you. Who are brilliant, yeah, you. Who are powerful,
Beautiful
yeah, you.
and brilliant and
Who are
powerful
resilient.
and resilient.
This is a
What's up, guys?
song.
Say hello. Who do we have on here today? I've got about an hour. I'm doing these amazing breakthrough sessions for everybody. So thank you to everyone who has signed up for them. I haven't stopped. I think I've gotten total, I think I'm at like 15 now. I don't know. I stopped counting. I haven't completed all of them yet. But they're going amazingly, and that's kind of what I want to touch on today. As far as different things coming up, and I'm seeing patterns with everybody. Oh, love the hearts. What's up, guys? Let me see who's on. Say hello. I am Sada. I remember you, and I can't remember how to say your name. James, what's up? First chorus describes you to the key. Thank you, sweetheart. What's up, Sandy Cheeks? Hello, hello. Where are you guys all from? Please say hello. Today, we're going to get into self-love. Self-love and what that really means. The hidden kind of shadow side of self-love, believe it or not, is something that I discovered through this process. And every time I share it with somebody, it just ends up being like it touches my heart every time again, right? And then it's like a huge light bulb that goes off, right? And so when we think about self-love, we think about just the positives, right? And we may not always think that there's a shadow, like almost like a darker side to self-love. And that's what I want to touch on and share with you guys today, because it's really been strongly coming up as a theme with doing all these breakthrough sessions, yes, with other clients. I've seen it in myself as well. And so I wanted to be able to offer that to everybody today, because it's really, really powerful and maybe not something that we usually think about, right? So awesome. We got more hearts. Hang on. Let me say hello to you guys. Henrik, what's up? Steven, how are you? Sandy Cheeks, mwah. More kisses and loves. The Samasi, hi, how are you? Awesome. More kisses, more loves. You guys are awesome. So in what's been happening, right, and this pattern that I've been seeing is mostly around the patterns that we get into in toxic relationships. And sometimes we don't always think about what that is. And we don't always think about the subtleties of it, and different abusive patterns, right? And this has been a huge, huge thing. And so one of the things that I want to touch on, what's up, Ronnie? Pilgrim 7 needs some inspiration for a heartbreak. I feel you, sister. Aw. going through that too. Awesome. How are you? I'm good. Awesome. Yes, I've been, like I said, this has been a huge pattern going on, right? So the how to let go, but just the heartbreak, heartache, all that stuff after just, it could be abuse of any kind. And that's why I mean, we're not always present, and we don't always make ourselves present to the subtleties of how abusive relationships can be, and how detrimental they can be. And so naturally, when we think of abusive relationships, we think physical, right? And yet there's this other element of emotional, right? These toxic elements, and those can almost be more detrimental sometimes because you can't see the wounds healing, right? And it can be anything from making you feel like you're going crazy. It can be heartache because you don't understand why there's not connection, right? And so feel free to share if you guys want to, openly and vulnerably. Like, I'm here for you. Anything that is coming up for you in this area. But most specifically, what I'd love to share, I have about an hour, so I really want to dive into this. Let's talk about self-love. You're so pretty. Keep smiling. Thank you. Thank you, Freddie Entertainment. Thank you, hon. When we talk about self-love, I want to get into the shadow side of self-love. And what I mean by that is we all, every single person, right? Nobody is really exempt from these sort of belief systems and unhealthy patterns that get set when we're very young, and when we protect ourselves when we see a situation happening. Maybe it's usually around our parents, sort of dynamic, and how their relationship dynamic was. And when we see that when we're really young, we take that on as a truth, right? Awesome, we got hearts on that. I know you guys know this. So awesome. So keep staying with me. So we take that on as truth because we don't have the discernment at that time to recognize, what's right and what's wrong. We only have the feeling of what feels good and what doesn't feel good. And so when something doesn't feel good, right, we put up these barriers and these belief systems, and those turn into patterns, which then we carry with us, and we bring those into our future relationships that sometimes we forget to leave or unravel those patterns of protection. And so it turns into cycles. And so if any part of a pattern that you've seen when you were younger that you took on as truth, right? Again, when we don't know any better, it's not our fault when we're younger. Any part of that we take on turns into our own inner cycle. And part of that is what has us continue attracting the same types. Sometimes it can look different, right? So, but same types of relatively, the same types of abusive or emotionally abusive. Sometimes it can be physical abusive, right? Relationships, and either way, just we start attracting more of these toxic people into our lives, right? And to a certain extent, they don't know either, because they're running from their patterns and their cycles and their belief systems that got set when they were really young. So until we clear all this out, and until we get to really what the root of it is in our subconscious, right? Transforming it and metamorphosizing it within the subconscious mind, this blind spot, right? Like when you're driving in a car, thanks for the hearts, guys. When we're driving in a car and we've got this like blind spot in the back and we can't see what's there, it's the complete unknown. And part of that unknown is that so stay with me for a second on this. When we continue these patterns and attract more of those same sort of toxic people into our lives, abusive relationships, right? And let's say we then end up getting the courage to leave and standing up for ourselves, right? Let me take a step back real quick, because the important part is that when we set this pattern, it's how we believe love is given. It's how we believe the relationship to love and the relationship with different people is supposed to be given, right? So that's the blind spot. And so if we believe that part of how love is given should be in sort of an abusive form, right? And yet at the same time we don't really know it's abusive, and then later on in life and we're like, this doesn't feel good, right? And then you leave, because the pattern is still within the subconscious mind of believing that love is given that way, then there's a part of us that then ultimately continues the pattern by turning that abuser inward unto ourselves. So what I mean by that is, and this is where we get to take the responsibility in seeing the blind spot, because it's all a pattern, right? And so there's no judgment on the pattern, just recognizing that it is this pattern. And so when we attract these people into our lives, it's to give us the outside reflection of how that pattern is within us. But then when we leave, because there's no outside person to reflect that pattern, our ego mind in the blind spot takes on that role of the abuser. And so that can look like all the negative self-talk, right? When you sit there and you're just like, I don't feel good enough, and I'm, whatever that sentence is, I'm stupid, I'm not good enough, I'm not pretty enough, I'm not, nobody's gonna love me, I'm never gonna have, this, that, or the other thing, right? All of that is technically verbal abuse to yourself, right? Awesome, we're getting hearts on that. Let me check in with see how you guys are feeling on this. Just want to say hello. Great wisdom, body, brain, baker. Awesome, thank you. Thumbs up, intelligent and beautiful. Oh, thank you, Freddie. Yes, this is good. Awesome, thank you, Henrik. Let's see. Do you think different language? Thank you guys for all the hearts. Awesome. Do you think different language, culture, nationality will not let the love win in relationship? I think love doesn't have, I was about to say love doesn't have a language. I believe the language of love, I think, is emotion and positive emotion, right? It's that really safe home sort of feeling, right, that you get with somebody. And I feel like that transcends national languages or international languages. So I don't know exactly what you mean by different language and culture will not let love win in relationship. I think everything comes down to fear. I think if love isn't being let in, then it comes down to fear. And usually that fear is from a blind spot, or usually that fear is from how you believe love is given. So sometimes people can't always accept healthy, positive love because that's not part of their program on how they believe that love is given. So like I said, until we transform and metamorphosize the unhealthy concept of what we learned early on as to how we believe love is given, then it doesn't matter what language you speak or what culture you speak, it's all still a pattern within the subconscious. And so really getting to the root of that in the subconscious and transforming it from there will allow the fear and the protective mechanism to sort of disappear. You get to have choice in that matter, right? And so when you do that, then that allows love to be given in more of a healthy way. And so you're reframing the dynamic. Henrik says, what a relief. Awesome. Freddie says, that's very true. I agree with you 100%. Okay, awesome. So Henrik said, I understand now why we fall in love with the wrong people. Exactly. And again, even if you separate from those people, recognizing how the relationship is with yourself, how you're interacting with yourself, where that ego mind starts to come into play, and is it saying positive things to you? Like, I know we all talk about negative self-talk, right? And yet at the same time, that's abusive. That's emotional and verbal abuse to yourself. And that's not being a good friend to you. And yet we say that those aren't the relationships that we want with other people. And yet when we do it to ourselves, and then that's kind of the joke. It's like, nobody else can do it to us, right? Only we get to abuse ourselves the way that we want to abuse ourselves, right? But ultimately, it's just it's just recognizing it and taking a look at it, and again, not judging it, but just seeing how it is. So I don't bring this up so that anybody can continue feeling bad about themselves. I don't want that. That's really not my intention. My intention is whenever we can bring this blind spot and bring clarity to the blind spot, then we get to have powerful choice, because now we have knowledge in something, where if we didn't have knowledge, then the behavior can continue where we didn't necessarily know it was that behavior. And once you start shifting things within you, right, then of course we get the external reflection gets presented to us in the positive, healthy ways, right? So I'm talking about self-love, I'm talking about negative self-talk, right? And ultimately that's kind of how I look at like this shadow side of self-love, because if we believe that self-love is a pattern that can be emotionally or verbally abusive, then that's how we believe that then we would be giving love to ourselves. So it's really creating a really good tool for this. And so really being able to tap into exactly like hearing the thoughts in your mind, hearing those negative thoughts, hearing the positive ones too, right? But just being able to track that. And when you can hear them, right, you can then actually, a really easy process, the quick, super quick process, right, is hearing the sentence and then saying, okay, is that what I really want to create in my reality? Does that feel good? If it doesn't feel good in that moment, then create its equal opposite. So if it's something like I always take like I'm not good enough, and if it's something kind of universal like that, I like to get even more specific. So getting really specific with what the sentence is. It could just be like, I feel like shit today. Just something really just just authentic, right? Yesterday I felt just exhausted and drained, and physically and emotionally, right? And I was just like, I couldn't put words into it, but all that came out was, I just feel exhausted. I just feel exhausted. And the equal opposite to that is, I feel amazing and energized, right? And then putting your body into a physiological state, right? Like the hunched over, of course you're going to look and feel exhausted when you do that. So changing your physiology to being a little bit more upright, being a little bit more postured, changing your physiology and your physical state can help support changing the thought processes in your mind, right? And the sentences that go on. But then hearing what that specific sentence is, and then just create its equal opposite. It could be really simple, but then continue to repeat that equal and opposite positive sentence. So almost kind of like a mantra. When I usually do this, I like to get I'll get so specific where I will take it, almost the like I'm not good enough, right? Because that's almost everybody has that. That's like universal. Everybody has the I don't feel good enough. Not good enough for this, not good enough for that, whatever it is, right? So really getting specific on that. Well, not good enough for what? Not good enough to whom? And then going down even further. Well, what does that mean about me? What am I making that next sentence below? What do I make that mean? And then whatever that sentence is, well, what do I make that mean? And so being careful and being really gentle with yourself, right? Because that process can, get you a little bit more into a lower emotional state, because you're bringing up the really negative things that you say to yourself. So if you can do it almost from a neutral stance and not attaching emotion while you're running these thoughts in your mind, then that will help you to not kind of recreate it within, if you guys know what the pain body is, right? Because we get addicted to feeding the pain body, which is the victim mentality, right? And ultimately then the victim, which would then need an abuser, right? So almost taking a step out from hearing what you're saying about yourself, and from there you can really get even more specific into like the really just nitty gritty crap things that we say to ourselves. And from that deepest, from that root point, that specific point, then transforming that. And if you want to, then you can start building it after that and create really amazing positive things that you say to yourself and put that into your daily practice or your daily mantras, and just really being able to speak positively to yourself, right? I mean, this is ultimately, when we think of how the healthy way that we want love given, we want people to say nice things to us. And so it's really a reflection on, okay, well, where are we saying nice things to ourselves? And most importantly, where are we not saying nice things to ourselves? So hang on, let me check in with you guys. Henry, yeah, I understand why I fall in love with the wrong people. Well, and that has to do with your love combination, which we haven't found out about, right? So there's this really cool process that I do where you get to learn your love combination. And it's uniquely to you. It's like a safe, right? So each person has the sequence of almost like what they either need to kind of see or hear or feel from someone that will unlock the next number in the sequence on their safe. And ultimately, if that person gets all of the numbers correctly in that sequence, then it ultimately unlocks their heart. So each person has a different one. They can be very similar, but Henrik, we're going to do that soon. I love what you mean. Okay, so Steven says, how do you know it's a twin flame or pattern? Really good question. Really, really good question, because I know everybody's on the whole twin flame, soulmate. So anybody, let's say, who comes into your life that is reflecting for you, that then you end up getting triggered with, right? And so if you're getting triggered, they're reflecting for you something that's not healed within you. And so sometimes we can call that a twin flame relationship because it triggers all the things within us, right? It's that person who's been assigned, or we have magnetically attracted them based on our patterns. So I believe everyone who is a twin flame, or technically everyone is a twin flame, if they're still reflecting an inner pattern within you, since we all have patterns. And until we dive into the subconscious and transform those patterns, then since they're within us and in the blind spot of our subconscious mind, then naturally we will create scenarios and manifest people into our lives that then will trigger those patterns, because ultimately they're triggering them outside of us so that we can look at them and say, okay, that part of me is not healed yet. How do I give more love to that, right? So technically I want to say that it's both. If there's still a pattern there and it's not been fully transformed, then you're going to attract it into your life because it's not healed yet, right? Cool, we got hearts on that. So Sandy says, got courage left and now I love myself. Beautiful, love that. But the pain of letting someone I love go and miss them so much when he still tells me he loves me, but still emotionally abusive. Okay, Sandy. This is Sandy Cheeks, or ex-Sandy Cheeks, ex. So kisses. Okay, really, really good point. And this has been coming up, actually, in the breakthrough sessions as well. So, when usually the abusers, right, we'll say it like that, they, to a certain extent, don't know that that's what they're doing, because, like I said, they have their own patterns within them. So we get to have compassion on that, because it's part of them that they haven't transformed. They haven't been doing that inner work to seeing their own blind spots. And so what they're needing from you, they're trying to pull your energy. They're needing to hook you back in, right, to keep you with them, because they are not able to fulfill the inner love for themselves, because ultimately they haven't transformed their own pattern, right? And so when, and this goes for everybody, whether we're like then abusing ourselves back to ourselves, right, and not giving that love, that true, authentic, healthy self-love back to ourselves and transforming those patterns, then we become emotionally abusive to ourselves, right? because it's a pattern, and the pattern needs to be able to continue. The ego mind, it's all it knows. So it needs to continue to create that pattern. So if you're in a relationship and you move on, and yet then the person tries to hook you back in by saying, but I love you so much, just to then continue abusing you emotionally, it's because they need you to be there so that they can run their pattern, but then you're still allowing yourself to go back because you're still running the pattern, right? So it's where you get to really powerfully choose what is truly in your healthiest and best interest in breaking the cycle of that pattern. And if you can always send somebody love from afar, you always can. And it's not always your job to tell them, hey, you're emotionally abusive, because that's their job, that's their inner work. But in order for you to recognize that that's still a pattern, you get to break that cycle. You get to say what's okay and what's not okay. Because now that you can see something differently, right? And you can see how the patterns are playing out, and then the patterns that you're playing out with them. And that's almost like when two patterns play out with each other and they're not seen, that's where like almost an emotional codependency between the two patterns is happening, right? Because you're triggering something in them, and then they're triggering something in you, right? And it all just creates the same cycle over and over again. So yes, there's always going to be pain of letting somebody go, because of the expectations that you really wanted to have together, right? And that's normal and that's totally natural, right? And yet you get to choose which one is more painful. Focusing on releasing them and letting them go from your life so that you can really step into your true, authentic, empowered self, because you're the just spiritual badass that is ready to break that cycle within you, or going back to then just get a little bit of love to then be sucked back into another cycle of a little bit of abuse again, because there's always an up and down cycle, right? They'll keep you intertwined with them, just enough to keep you hooked, right? In order to then abuse again, because they're not able to fulfill that self-love within them, and they're still running the patterns. So it's all a choice, right? And so I hope that helped a little bit. I was going to say something else on that and I forgot right now, but I want to acknowledge you for having the courage to leave, because that's part of your soul and your spirit that's saying there's something not right here and I don't want to continue creating this, right? So that's amazing, and I want to really fully acknowledge you for that, and you should acknowledge yourself for that as well. But just see where the pattern is and then be that cycle breaker, and boosting yourself back up. Because the minute that you feel almost like you're getting a little bit more energy, they reach out and they try to hook you back in. And that's usually your test to say, okay, am I more committed to myself and healthy self-love, or am I more committed because this person is going to give me what I think love looks like? Which again, if we think love looks like abusive, then will be easier to suck back in. So I hope that helped a little bit. I hope that helped a lot, but okay, good. We got lots of hearts on that. Okay, so you're dope. My mom loves this. Awesome. Thanks. And she has dealt with depression. Okay. And so depression is also there can be a lot of specifics around depression. And so I would need a little bit more information on that. In alopecia, or is that her name? Okay, I'm not sure. So the depression, and I'm going to be really, really gentle when I say this, because there's lots of different things that come up with depression, right? But if you can imagine how you feel when somebody is emotionally and verbally abusive to you, you feel like crap, right? Like it's not cool. And you can slip into depression from that. And so if part of the pattern is then we're turning the pattern back on ourselves, then all of that unhealthy self-talk within will equally make you feel like crap. And so it's really being that ultra courageous, getting the proper support and help that you need with that, right? And so whether that's a coach or whether you're, I personally believe in support within the subconscious mind and doing our best with that before moving to certain medications or whatever. And yet at the same time, I believe everybody has their own process. And if that's something that they really need, then doing whatever they need to kind of get them over the hurdle, right? And so that's always a really, really gentle topic. And so I'd be happy to talk with you more and get some more specifics on that, maybe in a private conversation, because there can be lots of things intertwined with that as well. So what's up? I always forget how to pronounce your name. Oksa Malik 55. What's up, girl? Hey, pretty. Lots of love to you too, girl. So appreciate you. Okay, so yeah, free band CJ. I hope that helped. So feel free to send me a message, and we can talk a little bit more about that as well. So let's see. Love is beautiful, but I believe to love others, you must love yourself first. Exactly. And that's literally all we're talking about, is how to love ourselves first more powerfully, right? And more radically. And part of that is finding out how we're not loving ourselves. And the really just unhealthy things that we say to ourselves that are like mantras. And so everybody knows the power of mantras, and yet do we have these negative self-talk mantras that we keep repeating? And if we keep repeating them, then they establish our internal environment, which then reestablishes and reattracts our external environment. So radical self-love is, being really, really good to yourself, but recognizing where you're not being good to yourself, so then you can flip that and transform that. And that's what I'm kind of saying is like the dark side or the shadow side of self-love. Because again, and so if any of you guys are just jumping on, if we got set early on that a pattern and a belief structure that love and how we believe love is given is in any way destructive or unhealthy or abusive, right? And that's because when we were young, we saw how an interaction was usually with our parents, and we didn't know any better. And so we took on that understanding and belief to be true. And sometimes people have been actually abused as children. And so that really sets in a deeper program. And so really working with the subconscious mind, you can transform those phobias. You can transform deeper levels of just the unhealthy internal abusive structure that we take on. And that's just where we get to take our own responsibility for things, right? In like, are we wanting to get ourselves to that next level and develop just being that change that we want to see in the world starts from within. And it starts from our subconscious and from that blind spot. And so that's why I love what I do. I love finding that. I've loved the journey and the process of finding that within myself and transforming that. And I love every opportunity that I get to with anybody else. And I mean, the other day I transformed a phobia with a really young, beautiful, inside and out, beautiful, gorgeous goddess. And we worked on a really scary internal phobia that was locked within the subconscious mind. And it wasn't supporting her at all. And it felt she wasn't living the life that she wanted to. And so when we can really transform these things and transform the blocks and these barriers that we have, we get ourselves back. We get our authentic selves back. We get our connection to our soul and our spirit. We get ultimate, radical, amazing, kick-ass, badass self-love. And then we get to step into our authentic selves And whoever your authentic self is, and whatever your passion and your purpose is, and your unique voice of who you are and what you're here to do and what you're here to bring to the world, I believe everybody has something unique. And usually it's rooted in your subconscious, and transforming all of that junk and metamorphosizing that and just emerging as, the caterpillar into the butterfly. That's where we get our wings, and that's where we get to fly, and we get to do anything. And therefore then nothing can stop us. There's no more fears. And if there is fears, we know how to work through them faster. We know how to just bust through anything that shows up in our lives. And that to me is powerful, and that to me is what life is about. That to me is what living and experiencing your soul in this life is about. So let's check in with you guys. Thank you for all the hearts. You guys are so badass. More hearts. Awesome. Let's see. Words create reality. Use them wisely. Exactly. Oh my God. I always say word magic because words are magic. And so sometimes we can get wrapped up into other people's word magic where it's coming from, whatever their well, if it is in abusive relationships, right, they'll say all of the beautiful word magic to get you then hooked again and then pull you in so that then you can be their source of energy, but then you end up getting drained of all your energy. And that's the other thing that has been the common thread is everyone's just like, I'm like drained of energy, like life force energy. And I've experienced that myself as well. Different than yesterday. I was just physically tired yesterday. Let's see, Henrik, how is it possible for you to have so much energy helping so many people? You must be Superwoman. I'm so excited for the Wonder Woman video or movie coming out, by the way. Yes, can we talk about just feminine empowerment and just badass goddess? I think so. I think I'm excited. What is it, like June 3rd, June 2nd, something like that? Super stoked for that. I have to take care of myself. And so yesterday when I was exhausted, because yes, I've been doing these amazing breakthrough sessions for people and just giving just so much and sharing, because it makes me feel good to bring clarity to people in areas that they didn't have clarity. And clarity to me means strength and empowerment. And so, yeah, sometimes like a part of it makes me feel really good. And then a part of it, yeah, yesterday I took the whole day just to self-love for me. Because when we give out so much energy, we need to make sure that we're giving it back to ourselves, either tonight or tomorrow, I think. I don't know if I have the time today. I'm booking a massage for myself because sometimes we just need some really good, healthy, yummy, like massage touch, right? And then that helps clear it out of the body. And so, yeah, I just spent the day and really far into the night just being really good to me. And saying all the nice things to myself and just being really present with being tired and exhausted and not trying to judge it and not trying to make it anything and not trying to push myself, but thank you for that compliment. Spiritual Wednesdays. Awesome. Spiritual Everydays. Sandy says, yes, awesome. Freddie, I believe in love love on first sight, and I'm in love with you, Serah. Thank you, sweetheart. I send you love as well. That's beautiful. That's such a nice compliment. Thank you, sweetheart. And I believe that we get to give love as much to anybody and everybody. Love is an abundant emotion. And when we get to allow it to flow freely through us and not hold it back because of those protections and those barriers and those beliefs and those patterns that we've been, creating to stop us from loving. That's ultimately all it does, is it stops us from loving, but stops us from getting and giving. Because giving love is also extremely important, right? When you get into a relationship, it's not always just to get. It's like, what are you giving and how are you giving love? But it's about more love and just getting more in touch with loving harder and loving deeper and stronger and cooler. It's cooler love. Let's see. Self-talk. Malik 55. Self-talk is so important. Be kind to yourself. 100%. 100,000%. And so again, just reiterating, get in your meditations. If meditation is a practice for you, part of the meditation is to clear the mind. But also I've really enjoyed using meditations as an opportunity for me to really hear what I'm saying in my mind, right? Because that's when everything gets really quiet. And in the silence is when you get to hear the truth. And we don't always want to hear the truth, right? Because the truth doesn't always say such nice things. But if then we can hear that truth and then have the tools to transform it, that's when we get the gift out of that. So it's not scary, right? But that's where we're just all here taking the responsibility for who we are and how we're showing up in the world and how we're treating other people in the world and how we're treating other people and how we're treating ourselves, right? And to really it's like being a cycle breaker and just breaking that cycle that's within you and that has maybe been set through your family's generation, maybe your parents' parents, all of these different cycles. It's like, are we going to be the spiritual badasses that really break those cycles and break them within us first? And when we break them within us, then we don't pass them on to others and we don't pass them on to our children as well, right? That's how we get to heal the world. That's how it starts from within. That's how we get to be the change we want to see in the world, right? Really listening to yourself. So let's see. Nansandi, really good advice. Although you may know the negative thought isn't helpful, sometimes it's hard to see how to change or remove it. Exactly. And yet, if it's still there and if it's still persisting, one, I would first invite you that and I know I've even been guilty of this, right? The more that we say that something's hard to do, the more it will continue to be hard to do. So what if we said, wow, it's really easy for me to hear the really negative things that I'm saying to myself? And what if it's really easy for me to hear the positive that I would like to create, the positive mantras that I would like to be saying to myself? What if it's really easy for me to put that into a practice every single day? What if it's easy for me to remember to say those things in those daily practice to myself? What if it's easier for me, or what if it's easy for me to integrate that and transform that within my life, right? I'm always a big fan of say what you want, not what you don't want. And I catch myself on the same thing, right? Because again, it's another pattern. So thank you for bringing that up. And it's easy. It's just easy. Anything is hard only when we think that it's hard, right? So thank you for bringing that up. That's really, really helpful. And thank you for all the hearts and the love. So Henrik says combination. Exactly. Love combination. Let's see. Malika, very true. Thank you. Love you too, girl. I want eternal flame. So tired of breakups. We're going to figure that out together, Henrik. Let's see. Fill your life with love, sunshine, love. I don't know what that word is. Sector, autocorrect, something. So fill your life with love, sunshine, forget self, think of others. I don't know if I fully agree with that. And the only reason why I'm going to say, I got a couple more minutes. I have another breakthrough session today. The only reason why I'm going to say forget self is because we're relationship beings. We're relational beings. And how we experience each other is how we experience emotion with each other, right? And so if you're only thinking about the other person and you're only giving and giving and giving, then you're going to attract people who are takers and takers and takers, in which case then you continue being exhausted because you're not then ultimately giving back to yourself or then also attracting someone who is equally a giver. So I don't think forget about the self. I think absolutely incorporate the self at the same time that you're incorporating others. Everything is balance, right? Everything is an equal balance. So what's up to the new people who joined? And I'll be able to download this, and of course, you guys will be able to check it out on the replay on YouTube. So if you're not on YouTube, you can always go and subscribe to me there. Let's see. Be real, heal yourself. That's awesome. Be real, heal yourself. Love that, Malika. Thank you. Or Malik. I think maybe I have been judging because they don't know any better. Yeah. But we all don't know any better until we do. So, really having compassion for what we don't know until we know it. And then once we know it, we have the responsibility with the information. So today I've given you guys the responsibility of the information, and now you get to not judge yourself and not judge others, but you get to choose how you want to use the information. And you can see how that applies into your life and see what benefits it brings. So let's see. Chakrasana, perspective is everything. Sometimes it takes viewing from the outside to see a pattern. 100%. Yes. And that's why I love being a support to you guys, because and coaching, and why I love coaching, why I have my own mentors and my own coaches, because I kind of explain it like this. If you go to a museum, right, and you see these beautiful paintings, and you can go up close and you can see all the intricate details, right, on like how the painter, the brush strokes that were used, how the light hits the colors. From that perspective, from the outside, you can see all the beautiful details. And yet imagine yourself now jumping inside the painting. Can you see things the same way? Are things maybe not as clear? You're from a different perspective now, so the light isn't hitting exactly the same way. You can't see exactly the brush strokes that were used. You can't see the whole picture either. You're inside the picture. So really being able to have the outside perspective really brings in 100. Yeah, you get to see those blind spots, or have somebody else offer and share those blind spots, because we all, like, until it's shown to us, we don't know. I talked with a girl breakthrough session earlier this morning, and she said exactly that. She's like, I didn't know that these were patterns, that these were parts of me that were operating. I'm like, well, of course you didn't know. Like, you can't figure it out always through yourself. You can through some things, through you can inner reflect to yourself up to a certain point. You can take many different courses. You can get lots of different information. You can do your own self inner work and evaluation, right? And yet you're still not fully outside of the frame and not outside of the picture, really being able to look at all of the whole picture from an outside perspective. So support is a benefit. That's what makes us stronger. Support is what gets us there faster. Through all the mentors that I've had, I couldn't be where I am today. Or maybe we would, but maybe it would just take longer, right? So I'm not saying that it's not possible, but I'm here on the fast track. And I think you guys are here on the fast track as well. And cool, how quickly can we turn in to be the best spiritual badasses that we can be, and changing this world, because we only have a certain amount of time. Our life here is limited. We don't know what tomorrow holds. So when do we really take that step for ourselves in really just being that kind of innocent curiosity about yourself, and really discovering all those things, so then you can come to the other side of the door where it's amazing and beautiful and bright, and things are working, and you're manifesting everything that you want in your life and in your love. So that's what we're here to do. That's what I believe we're here to do. That's what being a conscious lifestylist is to me. So I almost have to go, but let me check in with you guys. Thank you. Awesome. James says today's session resonates well with me. Perfect. Have a nice day. Awesome. You guys are amazing. I love this community here that we're growing. It's so fun with you guys. And I love your interaction. So I want to thank you, and I want to acknowledge you guys for that, because it makes it fun for me too, and I love hearing from you guys and sharing with you. So thank you for that. Let's see. Slipping into depression as a product of someone else's projection pain more valid than a quick mirror exchange. Exactly. So, yeah, Chakrasana, I'd love to have a deeper conversation with you about that as well, because, of course, the patterns are tricky. You know, it's not just one-sided. They're multifaceted. We are complex beings. And so the minute that you kind of get one side and you see something over here, it starts opening up all of these other sides to it, and you just start unraveling just all these different patterns that we have. But once you start unraveling one, it acts as like a sweater, and you start unraveling all of them, and then you just get even more clear. And like I said, clarity is where power is, and knowledge is power. So let's see. I think desperate people are also can be the strongest ones. Yes, there's always strength, because I want to say too that we always go through certain circumstances because there's always a lesson that can be learned. So nothing is ever in vain. Our pain is not in vain, because there's always, always a lesson. And once you start uncovering the different patterns, then you can also uncover what the lessons are. And that's really powerful work as well. So let's see. I don't know if I'm going to get down. You guys are amazing. King Arthur and Wonder Woman. Oh my God. So exciting. So excited for that. Serah, is this true that humans cannot heal themselves completely? Is it not human psyche? That humans can't heal themselves. I think we are doing the work to heal ourselves. I think when you have a guide or a coach, they're showing you, and ultimately you're doing the healing. You're doing the self-healing. I just become a guide. That's all. And you know, it's like showing you a different side that you haven't seen before, and then you get to, like, you're in the full power position with all of that. So it is in the psyche, and karma, and, you know, past lives and all of that stuff is intertwined as well. But yeah, let's talk more on that, because, I mean, you're ultimately the one doing the work, right? But being able to see where the path is, or see where to go on the path, that's where the support comes in. Because you might be wandering around in the dark and you're looking for a light switch and you don't know where the light switch is. So guides just help turn on a light switch. Awesome. We got hearts on that. Cool. Let's see. Okay, I have like 4 minutes. You guys are so fun. Literally, yes, life is really made of time. Through your timeless, enjoy your day. Awesome. Thank you for that. Henrik, don't go. You guys are so sweet. The heart knows how to heal itself. It's the mind you need to worry about. Exactly. I saw that quote somewhere too, and I don't remember who said that. But yes, our hearts and our emotions, they know what to do. They know what to do. But our mind is what's going to continue recreating that pain. And what recreates that pain is not knowing what the pattern is. So I'm still doing these breakthrough sessions for everybody. So again, I'm going to just do a quick shout out. The link is on my, if you guys are watching this replay on YouTube, the link is down below in the information. And if you're watching this still on Instagram, then it's on my page in my bio. So if you guys want one, I'm doing the first sessions for free. I'm not burnt out yet, and I'm enjoying the process, because I'm just loving bringing you guys support and clarity. So if you guys want one, feel free to book those. And again, this replay will be on YouTube as well. So I'm going to wish everybody a super amazing, badass day, and just going out and being the cycle breakers that you are, because that's what we're here to do, and that's how we end up being the change that we want to see in the world, right? So perfect. And I'm right on time for my next breakthrough session. So I love you guys so much. And I will check back in with you another time. And if you guys ever have any questions that you want me to specifically answer on a live video, feel free to send me a message and I'd be happy to do that. So anything specific, and I don't have to mention who you are. You can always keep it very anonymous. But if there's something that you're really working through and you want me to answer on a video, I'd be more than happy to do that. So yay, thank you guys for all the hearts and the love. All love you too. You filled my soul. Good. Awesome. Cycle breakers. Yes. Cycle breakers. Let's do this. You guys are awesome. Much love. Peace. Blessings. Go be some badass cycle breakers. Love you.